Hello. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday. And today I am going to be walking you through how to do fabric letterings. So before we start, let me know where you're dialed in from. So I'm just going to put that in the chat. Um, I am located in the DMV, for those wondering, and I should have cleared this earlier. I was in a rush and obviously was washing my hair, so things are not all together just yet. But anyways, so I've listed all of the items you're going to need for this. It's all in the description. If you have any questions as we go along, feel free to put them in the chat. I will be addressing the questions as I go, so please feel free to do that. So last week we were talking about fabric. 2 weeks ago, I was talking about gimmicks, things that are must-haves versus things that are more what I would consider gimmicks. And today, I wanted to kind of come back, bring it around to something else. So, someone graciously commented about the fact that she did not consider pink and shears a gimmick, which she was right. But I think what the issue was is that she didn't understand what the whole point of that video was, which is what do you need when you're starting your journey? Like today, what are your needs? And that was primarily what the video was about. But in any case, so today I am going to be using my pink and shears. I actually just got a new pair, and these are by Geiger. Let's make sure they're not upside down. These are by Geiger. Yeah, I said Geiger again, didn't I? See, this is a problem. These are by Guggenheim. I'm literally reading it and saying something else, but these are by Guggenheim. And the reason I keep messing it up is because I had Geiger for the longest time, and I have recently made the switch to Guggenheim. Nothing against Geiger, absolutely not. I use them. I use the pair I have for over 10 years, and I've had a very positive experience with it. I did discover the Guggenheim scissors, and I think they're great. I've been using now for quite a bit, and I enjoy using them. So this is what I'm going to be using. These are the pink and shears I have, and I will link it down below for you if you're looking to get a good pair of pink and shears. This is what I'll be using for this video. In addition to that, I've also printed out my letters. So these letters you're going to be able to find on my page, and I still withdraw. It's free. So I have all the letters. But here's the thing: when you typically would go into Word, so basically you create these with Word, and then after you create them, you would then take them and cut them. Most people will cut them. I am not going to cut them into the exact shapes because I'm going to sew right on this paper. So this is a great beginner friendly project. Here's why: because it does not require perfection, but it does put to use a lot of your skills as far as curving letters and things like that. So hopefully you're able to follow through on how I'm doing that. Okay. And then I have this stack of 10 fabrics from Craft I Do or New Bro Thread. And let me just tell you, I received these and I am absolutely in love with them. The colors, they're so vibrant, and it's 100% cotton. So if you are looking for to start out, in the first video I did share, when you're starting out, you don't need to go out and buy all new fabrics. You don't need to go out and buy all new things. But as you start to grow in your sewing journey, I do believe that you need to start focusing on the things that will really get you from point A to point B, and that would actually help you to your projects to look more professional as opposed to just something you made at home. Not that there's anything wrong with the things you make at home, but at some point you want to level up that skill set a little bit. And this is where these cotton pieces come from. So if you're looking for cotton, 100% cotton, this is the stack for you. The other great thing is, like, when you're working with some specific projects, for example, if you wanted to make oven mitts, or if you were making soup bowl cozy, those are the kinds of things that you absolutely do need 100% cotton for. Those are a little more intermediate, I would say, as opposed to beginner friendly, just because you have to understand the structure and putting things together. And you have to kind of think about your end point and then work your way back from there. So not to say that an advanced beginner can't do that. It just means that it'll take a little more time for you to get used to it. So with that in mind, I do think get a pack of cotton. I've also linked it. in the description here so that you can use for this. So the first, and then in addition to that, you will need some heat erasable pens. So I have mine here, or you can just use your tailor's chalk or pencil, whichever one works great for you. So since I already have my pieces here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead first and select the fabrics I'm going to be working with. So specifically, upside down. This is going to be the name of my podcast, and the podcast is named "So What: The Imperfect Sewist." Which, of course, like if you've been watching me for a while, I don't take it too seriously. I've made mistakes live. If you want to go back and look at some of my old videos, you will see them. I've made mistakes live, and it doesn't bother me because when it comes to getting things done, I will get it done. And guess what? That's what a seam ripper is for. Okay, so don't feel like you absolutely have to always react. Everything has to be perfect. As a beginner sewist, you learn and then you continue to perfect your skills. I've been sewing for years, decades, and I still make mistakes. So I don't feel, and sometimes it's a little hard to talk and describe things at the same time. So for me, it can sometimes be a little daunting, especially since I'm trying to do more lives to grow this channel. So I could start out and then kind of lose my train of thought. I'm like, oh man, I should have done that, 3 steps ago. And here I am yapping and all that. And obviously I completely missed the steps. So don't take yourself too seriously. That's most of the things I'm working on. That's what a seam ripper is for. So this is So What. So it's a total of 7 letters, SEW and WHAT. If you're interested in seeing the podcast, it's already on this on my page, so you can always go click on there and see some of the past episodes I've done. Again, we're not aiming for perfection, at least not to start. We just want to see have fun as we're doing this. So these are all fat quarters. I should have mentioned this is a pack of 10, and it has each of them is a fat quarter, all the different designs here. And if you're curious what a fat quarter is, it measures approximately 18 inches by 21 inches. So this is 21 inches long and 18 inches wide. So the good thing I love about this is that it's almost a perfect fit for my letters. So like each square is almost a perfect fit. So for what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my letters will fit in each square. And then I'm going to cut a square for each of them. So that's how I'm going to be starting this. So you might see me doing this a little bit to adjust the screen. It's just because I'm working from a laptop. I'm trying to do a little more using my laptop versus actually using my mobile device. So let's go ahead and get started because I want to at least get through the sew, and then that way you guys can do the what later, and then I'll just put it all together this week and I will show you the final product in the next live I do. So come along and let's do this. In the meantime, let me know where you're from and go ahead and ask any questions you may have. Okay, so this is what we're working from, and for this project here, I am also going to be using my rotary cutter. So like I said, this was already, the fabric piece came pre-folded. So I'm basically just going to be using the squares that already came with it because it looks like it's going to fit it. So instead of actually having to measure much, I don't have to do that with this. And I just need to get each one here. So this is going to go on here. So, and you'll need 2 per. So I have the first part there, and this is, it's not a directional fabric, so that's even better. For this project, I should have mentioned, you also need quilt batting. So I will link all of those things. I believe it's already linked in the description, but if you missed it, it's right there. So you can go back there and use it. So you need 2 pieces of this. We'll cut the quilt batting later, and this is what they will both look like. So unlike other sewing projects where you actually take these and you flip it inside out, you're actually going to be sewing with both the right side facing away, so the wrong sides will be facing each other. You're creating a sandwich, and in this case, I wouldn't even say it's more like a pre-made sandwich, as in you're not starting out from the scratch. You're going to have the sandwich all together. So we'll put the quilt batting on there, and then we'll just throw it in here, and we'll do the sew. So this is the first one. Yes, is ready to go. We'll put that aside, and then I'm going to take this. I should mention, when you are cutting this, you want to cut as close as you can to the letters, but not completely. And the reason I say that is because, remember, I don't plan on actually cutting all the way through, as in cutting the letters completely. Like I'm going to be sewing directly on the piece of paper. So I'm going to recycle that, which is why I'm putting it aside there on the floor. So this is what it's going to look like. So now I'm going to go ahead and select the second piece of fabric I want to work with. And this is the one I want to work with. Remember, again, I am doing 2 per because it's going to be both sides. So again, I'm just testing it out here to make sure it fits right on the square. And I'm going to cut both pieces as we go. Let me know how your week has been or how your weekend has been so far. I am looking forward to a shorter week this week. It's my shorter work week, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also excited for what lays ahead. It's been a busy few weeks. So I'm excited for what comes next. And then if you have ideas for the next sewing topic that you would like to see, please feel free to let me know. I would love to get ideas. I do post polls on my other page where I will I'm sorry, I post it right here, and this is going to be the next piece I will be using. And this is a W. This I'm eager to know if it'll fit, because I get the feeling it will not, because it's a much bigger letter. And it was actually the only letter that could not fit on one page when I was cutting this. So I didn't think it would fit, but let's go ahead and do this. So since I have 4 squares here, it looks like I will need all 4. Yes, so I'm just going to take this, and I'm just working from a smaller part of my cutting mat, just so that it's easier for y'all to see what I'm doing. This mat is actually 36 by no, it's 18 by 36, so it's a much, is it 18? 24 by 36. I should know that. I use this mat all the time, and I don't know it. It's 24 by 36, which means that it does it gives me the entire area I need to work with for most of my projects, but I am just doing this primarily because it's easier. If you don't already have some, I do recommend getting, see, I try not to waste, so I try to make sure that I'm cutting exactly what I need here. You will need pins. I use sewing pins for this one, even though primarily when I'm teaching, I usually tell people it's better to use clips if you're starting out. In this case, this is one of those cases where I would say it's typically better to use clips, but for this project, we will be using pins, just because it helps to keep things better together. So don't be intimidated by that. So we now have our sew, and I will do the what later. Let's see. I can cut another one while we're going. Or actually, no, I want to try to make sure I keep these to 30 minutes, and that might take a bit to put together. So let's go ahead and stick to the script of what I wanted to do. Now, this is quilt batting. It's 100% cotton again. And this is, so let me just tell you something. When you're working with quilt batting, you will have pieces. When you have pieces, don't throw out the pieces. Here's the thing. You can always sew it together with zigzag stitches. I never throw out any of the pieces I'm working with. And you can also double it for other projects. So don't feel like you absolutely have, like if you've used some of it, you have to toss it. You don't. You really do not have to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together for the letters. And I'm actually going to double the fold it over and that. So I just need to see how much of this I will need. And now I don't know where I put my pink and shears. Found them. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I don't know. Has anyone ever experienced the residue it leaves behind when working with quilt batting? I typically don't like cutting them on my cutting mat, because whenever I do that, I always end up with it like on the inside of my sewing mat, and it feels like it digs itself or it embeds itself into the mat. Granted, it's supposed to be a self-healing mat, but I just feel like it gets in, it truly gets in there. So now we're going to do the first. So remember, I just doubled the quilt batting. Make sure it's equal on both sides, so I have everything I need here. And I'm going to cut this. So this is the S, and then, am I missing my E? No, there you are. Feel free to ask any questions you have, and I will be sure to answer them. And you can also make these more fancy if you want by also, you could also use ribbon, which as I'm talking to you, I do believe I want to use ribbons for this. So I will add the ribbon as I go. So, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and assemble our sandwich, okay? So I'm just looking for some, well, I thought I already had a piece here that I had pre-cut, and I do. So I wanted to get some pre-cut ribbon, which I already have here. And these I'll be using. So for these, I just need a little piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure it out. The sticky is still on there. So each piece is going to be 2 inches because let's make sure I have 2 inches. I also have the Gentle Giants by Guggenheim. So I need a tool. I'm missing my little bin here, my thread bin, which usually sits right next to me all the time. So I need 7 pieces altogether. I'm just going to use each price to cut the next one. And this is one where you do have to be careful when if you're going to have these hangs. The reason for that is because, and I have made this mistake before, where I actually cut the hang piece there. So I have 4. I need 3 more. So when you're using your quilt batting, when you use the pinking shears, you'll need to be careful so you don't cut it. I will show you how with the first one I make, and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll do 1 more here. Okay, so now we have all 7 pieces that we need. So now we're going to start the process of putting together our sandwich. My first letter is S, and this is the fabric I'm going to be using for it. So I'm just going to create my sandwich, and this is how I'm going to create it. Again, I try not to waste, so I'm going to use exactly what I need and cut off the excess to potentially use for something else. Okay. You don't have to do the same thing. I just don't like waste, that's all. Okay, so this is what it's looking like so far. I'm going to put this on top of it. Get my letter. And you don't need your heat erasable pen. I just realized that. And then I'm going to get my ribbon. So the ribbon is you just fold it like so. You fold it in half and put it between your you want to put it in the middle between your fabric pieces and your cotton batting. Okay. And then this is where the pen comes in handy. And when you're using this, I do recommend that you do it on the inside, not on the outside, because you want to be able to sew on this without running into any issues. And I'm going to use one here to hold my ribbon in there. So this is what it looks like right now. And I'm going to go ahead now and sew this. I think we will probably be able to make it through S and E. And I'm just going to move these things around and get my computer, my computer, my sewing machine ready to go. So again, let me know if you have any questions. It's already fully threaded. Is it? Nope, I took out my thread. I'm glad I mentioned that to myself because I probably would be sewing and going, wait, why is this thing not working? Okay, so that's fully done there. I'll move my microphone a little out of the way there, but hopefully you can still hear me. And so the good thing about this is that you do not need to, we're just going to sew along the outline that's already here. You do not need to create any openings. You just sew the entire thing. And if you feel like you're not getting it straight, don't worry. Or if you're not getting your curvature exactly, don't worry too much about it. Do your best. Here's the reason why. Pinking shears are forgiven and they will kind of make things still look okay. So don't feel like if you miss it, it's going to look completely ridiculous. Again, we're looking for things to look good. You're a beginner. Perfection is in the eye of the beholder. And something that you think looks completely crummy might actually look great to others. Plus, there's also the fact that, we tend to be our own harshest critics. So don't feel like you have to have it all exactly looking right. But do your best to stay on the lines. The lines are long enough. If you ever take a class with me, I do teach a beginner sewing class. And in that class, I walk you through doing the curves. So I'm trying to go as slow as possible so you can see what I'm doing. Feel free to ask any questions you have. Now we've gotten to the place where I have the actual ribbon. I'm using a pin to hold the ribbon. I'm going to take that out primarily because I know there are a lot of people who sew on their pins. I am not a proponent for that. One, because it's dangerous. You can have two pins hit each other. And then when that happens, it could splinter and it could get into your eye. It's also a safety thing. So I don't recommend sewing directly on your pin if that can be helped. Okay. And I will admit some letters are easier than others. Like the letter A is, a little more straight lines. So that does work easy. It's much easier. The letter W is also probably going to be easier because it's more straight lines. Then there are others like the letter S, which has more curves. So you just work slowly. If you have to slow down your machine, do so. But don't get intimidated. If you're concerned or you feel like you're not getting it right, then just go ahead, lift it, and put it right back down. Again, like I said, this is a great beginner-friendly project that will have that you can make for birthday bunting. You can create happy birthday, and this font is going to be available on my site that I sew with joy. So feel free to go there and grab it, print as many copies as you want, and practice as many times as you want. And we're just about done. So the first letter is done. So yes, I will show it to you shortly. First, we take off our pins because we want to make sure safety first. And this is what the back looks like, okay? This is also another satisfying thing about doing this. You want to be careful so that you don't accidentally rip your projects, or rip the threads. But once you create a weak point, I just dropped that. It's easier to just peel this off. and take it off on the inside. So this is the first letter S. And I am going to start from where the hanging ribbon is, because to cut, and there's a reason for that, because I know a lot of times people run into problems with this area. So I'll show you exactly how to go about cutting it so that you can retain your hanging ribbon. And feel free to ask any questions you may have. Now comes the pretty part, or the pretty part. When you're cutting this, you're going to have to hold your ribbon down and cut. I didn't leave a lot of room for fabric on the top. And then once you've done that, you can start cutting the rest of this. Making sure you do not cut into the piece, your thread. And then just go very carefully around the letter. And here's the thing, you can use this as stuffing, like if you make a teddy, like a stuffed animal, you can also use this stuffing here for that. So I don't actually throw these out. I put them in a bag for other projects. I teach an out school, and when I teach, some of the classes I teach does require stuffing for to do that. So I try not to waste if I don't have to. Okay, so now we have this part, and remember we cut the front first, so we're just going